How are we going to recover this iconic animal? We know where the gliders used to be. Remember, we have lots of these large old sites with gliders on them. Where are we going to put these animals back? How would we do that? And we've also been working on the next generation of nest boxes. So we've thought about all these things. Where did the gliders used to be? Where are the coolest parts of the forest? What sort of nest boxes do we need? Where do we need to put the nest boxes? We've been looking at these things for years now to think through what we can do. So, for example, making sure that we've got the right insulative properties, that we've got the right paint, so that if there is a fire, the chances are that the gliders will survive because the nest boxes are relatively fire resistant. Which side of the trees are we going to put them on so that the animals don't get too hot? All of these kinds of things are really important for understanding what's happening. The other thing is that you can see the hollow is actually just big enough to allow a glider in, but not big enough for a competitor like a mountain brush-tailed opossum. That's the dynamics of how hollows work. And we've trialled them in East Gippsland, we've trialled them in southeastern New South Wales, and they work. Fantastic.
Federal member for Kooyong, Dr Monique Ryan, has been an incredible advocate for the environment, for climate and for ending native forest logging. She's currently working on amendments to the EPBC Act to end native forest logging across Australia, and recently has been named the Australian Conservation Foundation Champion of the Greater Glider. So I would like to welcome Dr Ryan onto the stage to launch a very special project with Professor David Lindemeyer.
Let me also apologise on behalf of all governments, great and small. I completely agree with everything that's been said today. But let me tell you, David, that my Christmas present to you is that I will be putting up some amendments to the EPBC Act early next year. It's still worth, I think, putting up a specific native forest amendment, basically to take the RFAs, the regional forest agreements, away from the states. I think one of the things we've learned in the last few years is that scientists are incredibly important, and as a citizen politician, I rely very much on the advice of the experts. And it's been one of the great pleasures of becoming a politician in the last 18 months is meeting the scientists who are working on incredibly important areas like this. So, without further ado, David, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Monique. So there are several housing crises, and there is a housing crisis in the forest. And it's a housing crisis that we've been measuring since 1983. And so now what's happened is that we've decided we need to do something about it. If we're stopping logging, then we need to think about restoration. And if we're thinking about restoration, the most important thing for greater gliders is finding the right homes for them. So we've been designing nest boxes for these animals for several years now, and then trialling them, and we've been able to show that they work. So much so that female gliders that are using nest boxes actually now are emerging with back young, which is fantastic. That's something special to see. And so that means that we're now ready to start to tackle this problem in the mountain ash forest. We've got the plan in terms of where to put nest boxes, how to put them up in trees, how many we need to put out, where they need to be juxtaposed relative to little patches of old forest where we've got gliders. So this is a chance to start on this road to restoring greater gliders. It's no mean feat to put a nest box 15, 20 metres up in a tree, I can tell you, especially when they weigh 14 kilos, which is why I didn't bring one with me tonight in my luggage from Canberra. Nest boxes built like this should last somewhere between 8 to 10 years minimum, and probably longer. With the ones that we've had up for 3 years are showing no signs of wear at this stage. The cost of a box is about $200, and that's heavily subsidised mostly by ageing grey men in men's sheds, and all we have to do is go and give them talks, and they love this stuff, and we've taken them out into the forest, and yeah, it's pretty special. It's a good way. It's another aspect of community engagement, people getting involved in things, and yeah, it's part of the entire community being involved in the restoration process.
Yeah, I've got a vision of every primary school having one and having a sense of ownership about
Absolutely.
Doing something effective to change the environment.
Yeah. So that's the program. I think it's a pretty exciting way to start this restoration process, to undo the damage from the last 50 or 60 years.
So on this piece of paper, which was on your seat, You'll find that there's a QR code on the back, bottom right corner.
So that's the initiative. It's a pretty exciting one, and we're hoping that people might be keen and interested to maybe buy a nest box, and then we'll put them up and monitor them, and then if people want to come out to the forest, which is only an hour and a half's drive from here, you can actually see what your nest box has done to start the recovery process.